Hey y'all! The trial of Christopher Wolfenbarger opened in Georgia on August 14th, 2025, a case decades in the making. Prosecutors allege Wolfenbarger murdered his wife, Melissa Wolfenbarger, back in 1999, dismembered her body, and dumped the remains in trash bags scattered around Atlanta. Melissa's father was a convicted serial killer, and now, years later, the state says Melissa's own husband followed a similar dark path. Court began with instructions to the jury, followed by opening statements from both sides, but the real drama unfolded when witnesses took the stand. One who found Melissa's remains, and another, a homicide detective, who revealed shocking claims about missing evidence and possibly lost video. Let's break down everything that happened on day one of Georgia v. Christopher Wolfenbarger. The day started with the jury officially sworn in and the judge giving them a roadmap of their responsibilities. He reminded them of the cornerstone principles. Christopher Wolfenbarger is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The burden lies completely with the state. The defense does not have to prove anything. Jurors were cautioned not to form opinions early, not to be swayed by sympathy or prejudice, and not to research the case outside of the courtroom. The judge also explained the trial process itself: openings, evidence, testimony, cross-examinations, and finally, closing arguments before deliberations. It was all about laying the groundwork and making sure this jury knew their duty: to weigh the evidence carefully and apply the law exactly as instructed. The prosecution went first, painting a disturbing picture. They told the jury this wasn't just a disappearance. This was a brutal killing. They argued Wolfenbarger murdered Melissa, dismembered her body, and attempted to conceal the crime by placing her remains in black trash bags scattered around Atlanta. The state promised forensic evidence would tie him to the crime, and that the jury would hear testimony from witnesses who saw and discovered those remains. They framed the case as not only about murder, but about concealment, about a man who thought he could erase a life by scattering the pieces and waiting for the case to fade away. The defense pushed back hard. They told jurors to keep an open mind and warned them against jumping to conclusions based on gruesome evidence. Their strategy was clear: sow doubt about the state's narrative. They questioned whether the forensic evidence would really point to Wolfenbarger after so many years. They raised the issue of gaps in police reports, missing evidence, and whether investigators could truly connect Wolfenbarger to Melissa's death. The defense wanted the jury to remember one thing: the state carries the entire burden of proof, and speculation is not enough to convict. The first witness was George McEachern, who stumbled upon something that would haunt anyone: a human head on Avon Avenue in Atlanta. He testified that he initially thought it was a Halloween prank or maybe a mannequin head until he realized it was the real thing. McEachern described buzzards circling above and even admitted he poked the head with a stick to be sure before calling the police. His testimony set the tone. This wasn't just a missing person case. Melissa's remains had been left exposed, discarded, and eventually found in one of the city's neighborhoods. His words brought the horror of the crime right into the courtroom. Next came retired Atlanta Police Detective Dale Kelley, who was called to the scene back in April 1999. Kelley described pulling up to Avon Avenue and immediately spotting the decomposing head upright on the sidewalk. Nearby, there was a black plastic trash bag and a stray dog sniffing around. He told the jury the bag contained hair, fluids, and later, through cadaver dogs, other body parts. He explained that the remains were always double-bagged, 2 layers of trash bags around every piece. Kelley recalled the medical examiners and investigators documenting the scene, photographing everything and collecting evidence. One of the most chilling details? Kelley said tests revealed traces of bleach in the bags, something consistent, he testified, with trying to destroy DNA evidence. He acknowledged that back in 1999, DNA testing wasn't as advanced as it is today, but bleach was still known to corrupt results. On cross-examination, Detective Kelley dropped a bombshell. He motioned that there had once been a VHS recording showing a dog dragging one of the plastic bags out of the woods, possibly the very bag containing Melissa's remains. But according to him, that video was missing. He also said some of his own reports from the case file were gone. The defense pounced. They pressed him on whether he was just speculating or if this supposed video ever really existed. They grilled him on why no reports documented it and asked why the prosecution hadn't disclosed these claims. The tension skyrocketed as defense attorneys accused the state of withholding or losing critical evidence, while the prosecution insisted they had turned over everything they had. The clash reached a breaking point. The judge excused the jury and halted proceedings, clearly concerned about the possibility of missing or undisclosed evidence. He ordered both sides to meet with Detective Kelley privately to clarify what exactly was missing, what reports he believed had vanished, and whether this VHS recording ever truly existed. It was a dramatic end to the first day, not only because of the graphic testimony about Melissa's remains, but because of the looming question: if evidence was lost or mishandled, what would that mean for the case? The trial closed on day one with tension high, the jury sent home, and both sides preparing to fight over what the jury should be allowed to hear next. Day one of Georgia versus Christopher Wolfenbarger set the stage for a long and difficult trial. The prosecution promised the jury a case built on evidence and testimony, starting with the shocking discovery of Melissa's remains. The defense wasted no time pointing to gaps, doubts, and missing pieces. And then the testimony of Detective Kelley raised real concerns about whether critical evidence was mishandled or lost decades ago. The jury has already seen graphic photographs, heard about bleach, and now must weigh whether missing evidence creates enough doubt to tip the scales. The case is just beginning, but the stakes are already clear. Was Melissa Wolfenbarger killed by her husband, as the state claims, or has time, missing evidence, and unanswered questions left too much uncertainty to convict? And that wraps up day one. If you're following this trial, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss day two, when we'll see how the court handles this dispute over missing reports and video evidence. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next breakdown. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss any of my recaps. And remember, stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.